I'm a half-white, half-Mexican-American woman. I visited Mexico for the first time when I was 10, and my sister was 8. We went to Cancun. We went with my mum and grandma one night into the town away from the resort. They speak Spanish, so we felt comfortable enough. I remember there were dirt roads and young children selling gum. My family came across a table in front of a stall with lots of silver jewellery sprawled across it. I'm not sure where the Rainstick came from. Whether it was sitting on the table or someone else walked up with it. I just remember a Mexican showing the handmade Rainstick to my little sister, and after a minute, my grandma gave some peros to the person for it. It was about 1.5 inches wide and about 13 inches long. It was a cylinder shaped and made of wood, and it was flat on both ends. It looked really old and worn, but it was sturdy. There were 3 colourful bands of twine on each end. If you tilted it slowly to either side, it sounded just like rainfall. I assumed there was rice inside, hitting the little sticks as it fell down. We went back to the hotel with our newfound trinkets. Fast forward to when I was 18, in 2007. Me and my mum were living in a 1-bedroomed apartment in Plano, Texas. My sister was living in Michigan with our father. The computer desk was right next to the bed. There was a shelf on the other side of the bed with pictures on it. My mum had been going through our old belongings and placed the Rainstick on the left side of the shelf. I was sitting on the bed and my mum was sitting down in front of the computer. I was bored, and so I picked up the Rainstick to hear the soothing sound of rain and bring back my old childhood memories. I thought it would be fun to start shaking it like an instrument and made a musical beat. As soon as I did that, I was in front of a fire in a circle of black people wearing little clothes. We were all sitting surrounded by tall grass. No buildings, just out in nature. Their appearance and the feeling there was tribal. I was playing the Rainstick, shaking it, while some were chanting a foreign language I did not recognize. I noticed my hands were black, and suddenly, I was back on the bed, and my mother and I smelt smoke. It smelt like there was a fire burning in the apartment. We then witnessed a white fog slither up out of the Rainstick. We screamed at the top of our lungs, and then we ran out of the apartment as I dropped the stick. We calmed each other down, thinking about what we should do. I told her about the vision I had while playing the Rainstick. She decided we needed to find a curando, or a curandera. They clear spirits from homes. We figured it had been used for voodoo or something, and wondered where this thing originated from. We realized we didn't know exactly how old that thing was and how many people owned it before us. We prayed that whatever came out of that stick didn't follow us to the car. We were freaked out scrambling through a phone book, seeking a curandera. We drove to the Mexican side of the town desperately seeking a curandera, but it was past 10 p.m. and all the spirits/psychic shops were closed. We built up enough courage to return home. The smell of campfire was gone. I called this fat fuck musician I was dating at the time. His mum was a very well-respected psychic in Dallas. He told me to wrap up the stick in a red material and place it in a closet next to the front door. After 2 hours, me and my mother felt uncomfortable with it still in the house and placed it right outside of our front gate. The next day, one of my sister's friends came by, a Native American dude we referred to as Ashtray. He knew I liked smoking a little bit of weed and brought a joint. I asked if he could get a bag of bud for me. He had mentioned he was hanging with a friend that night, but I had not brought him over because we didn't know him. Ashtray left to get my sack. I left to walk 2 buildings over to hang out with this hot guy I knew while I waited. I noticed that the building facing ours was a dude about 16-year-old, standing behind a staircase, staring at our apartment. I assumed it was Ashtray's friend waiting for him to come back. I said, "You don't have to wait out here, dude, you can come in." He didn't say shit and came inside. We were chilling watching TV. Ashtray returned with a dime bag and we all got stoned. Eventually the dude I found behind the stairs said he had to take off. He left and I asked Ashtray how they'd been friends. He told me he didn't know that guy, and the friend that he was on about, well, he didn't bring him to the apartment this whole time. I was pretty freaked out and I told my mum about it. All 3 of us opened the door and noticed that the Rainstick was gone. We know that creepy kid took it. My sister came back from Michigan the next day. I described the guy from the stairs and she knew who I was talking about. A week later, she informed me that he hadn't been at school for several days and his parents were looking for him. I had a feeling it had something to do with him stealing our haunted Rainstick.